Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I am Harrison Graham, your host as always. Got to get you guys caught up on the latest rumors and news surrounding the Bears. So let's go ahead and jump on in. Apparently, Mitchell Trubisky is your Week 1 starter, according to former Bears head coach Dave Wannstedt, who's bounced around quite a bit since his Bears head coaching days. He says, Mitch is the guy right now. We'll get to more thoughts on him in just a second, but I did say a few weeks ago I do think Trubisky will be the Week 1 starter, and while I still believe that, if you listen to what Matt Nagy has consistently said, like, we're not even close to naming a starter, we're going to take as much time as possible before choosing between Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles. Here's more from Wannstedt saying, Mitch is the guy right now. I don't know how Nick Foles can do anything to unseat him going into the opening week. It's a good situation right now. Now, I don't really get that whole. I don't know how Nick Foles could possibly do anything heading into Week 1 to unseat Mitchell Trubisky. It's not like Trubisky's coming off an all-pro type of season. There's a reason they brought in Nick Foles. I think this is going to be a competition that continues throughout training camp. Do I think Trubisky has the edge? Yes. Apparently he's looked a little bit better so far, been a little bit more consistent so far, but overall, I think this will be one of those last-minute decisions for Matt Nagy and this coaching staff. More on this in just a minute. If you want a Mitchell Trubisky jersey or a Nick Foles jersey or any Chicago Bears jersey, go to this link at chatsports.com/Bears jerseys. These are all available for less than $80 right now. This deal, it's not going to last forever. You got this Khalil Mack one. You got Allen Robinson. All of the top Bears players, you can get their jerseys for less than $80 at chatsports.com/Bears jerseys. Check the comments, check the description. That link will be right there. You click on it, boom, you can shop today. Obviously, when it comes to Mitchell Trubisky, this is a do-or-die season for him, or as my buddy Mitchell Renz would say, it's a prove-it year for Mitch Trubisky because he's got to deliver in 2020. There's a reason, A, like I said, the Bears traded for Nick Foles, and B, that they did not pick up his fifth-year option because this organization isn't sold on Trubisky as the future. I think he's going to get one more chance. I really do think he will be the Week 1 starter. I don't think that decision's been made like Dave Wannstedt thinks it has, but I do think he's going to get the first crack in 2020, and then it's up to him at that point. Mixed reviews on how these quarterbacks have played at training camp. Some good, some bad, some not great. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to how these guys perform under the lights when games actually start and when games actually count, which starts in Week 1 against the Detroit Lions. So we'll see how this plays out over the next couple of weeks. I do think Mitch will be the Week 1 starter, but I do not think that has been decided as of yet. Now, I have a question for you guys. Do you get notified when we post a video on your phone? Type Y for yes, type N for no. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, you guys have a cell phone. Here's, the things that pop up. It's like, from your ESPN app or whatever. If you have notifications turned on to Chicago Bears Now on YouTube, you should get a notification. So if that happens, type Y for yes. If you typed your N for no, join the notification gang. After you subscribe, all you got to do is you hit that bell icon. It's right next to the subscribe button. But that's not the final step. It gives you 3 options. Select the all option. If you do that, you're going to get a notification every time we post a video. So go ahead and do that. I think right now we have like 18% of you guys that have notifications turned on out of all of our subscribers. Get that number up. That way you guys never miss a video here on Bears Now. More training camp storylines here. Darnell Mooney is drawing some eyes from this coaching staff and from some teammates. I like this kid a lot coming out of Tulane. He has some speed, and he's showing out at camp so far. Matt Nagy likes what he's seen. He says his approach in meetings is very Allen Robinson-like, wants to soak up information, attention to detail is there from Mooney. And I find that interesting because that is the antithesis, the opposite of what we've seen from Anthony Miller in recent years. He has not been an attention-to-detail guy, and that's why he regressed a little bit last year. I'm not saying Mooney's going to get reps over Miller, but this is something to follow to see if Mooney could get more opportunities. Here's Nagy on him, asks really good questions. He's very calm, cool, and collected. I just like where he's at. I just think he has a bright future, and no one is getting too high or too low. He seems very mature for his age and where he's at. That is something you want to see, and this is a guy who played 4 years in college at a small school that had to prove himself constantly. It was really good his past 2 years at Tulane. The Bears took a 5th-round flyer on him, and he is proving them right so far because I think he is in the thick of things to get reps as this number 3 wide receiver on this offense. A-Rob's obviously your top guy. I still think Miller's going to man the slot more often than not, but Darnell Mooney's going to get an opportunity to compete with the Ted Ginn, to compete with the Javon Wims, O'Reilly Ridley. He's going to get snaps on this offense. There's no doubt at this point whether or not he makes the team. I think that's pretty clear. He will be on the 53-man roster. The question now is, does he carve himself out a role on this offense? I think there's a pretty good opportunity because he has speed and because the coaches are impressed with his maturity. So I'll set the over-under at 25 catches. You guys are probably like, only 25? He's a rookie rotation receiver. Like, I think that's a reasonable over-under there. Type O for over 25 catches this season. Type U for under 25. If he grabbed 25 or more as a fifth-round rookie, I think you got to be pretty pleased moving forward for Darnell Mooney. Speaking of people balling out at training camp, the tight end position, which this is a great sign after what we saw in 2019, which was just absolutely abysmal. We've talked about Jimmy Graham. We put him on our training camp winners section on our camp winners and losers so far video. He's really been good. Both the quarterbacks spoke highly of him, and it seems like there could be a slight resurgence there. I'm not going to say he's going to be peak New Orleans Jimmy Graham or anything like that, but Cole Kmet's been excellent as well. Even guys like Eric Saubert and Demetrius Harris have turned some eyes at training camp. I don't think all 6 Bears tight ends are going to ball out, but it can't be worse. Producer Dylan, I told my audience we could never show this again, and here we go. You're just making my eyes bleed one more time. It's got to be better than this, right? Like, there's no way the Bears have a tight end or their leading tight end has less than 100 yards this season. I'm excited about this group. I don't think they're going to be, a top 10 tight end unit in the NFL, but league average is certainly within reach. And if you get that compared to what you had last year, that is a massive upgrade because the Bears had, quite frankly, the worst tight end production in the NFL in 2019. It was that bad, whereas I think Jimmy Graham can be, more than serviceable, and I think Cole Kmet has a very, very bright future, and I think he'll have an impact in year 1 for the start of hopefully what is a long career with the Chicago Bears. Graham, like I said, he's not going to be what he was in 2016, but 400, 500 yards, 5-6 touchdowns, I think that's possible. Cole Kmet, can he give you similar numbers? Can these two guys combine for around 1,000 yards and 8 to 10 touchdowns? I think that could be done. Maybe it's a little lofty. Maybe it's more like 800 yards and 8 touchdowns, but I think between these two guys, you should be able to get league average production at the tight end position. And then if some of these other pieces, like Demetrius Harris, can pitch in a few catches here and there, be serviceable blockers, I think you'll be pretty pleased with that overall. So how optimistic are you about Chicago's tight end group? Scale it from 1 to 10. 1 being, this group's worse than last year, so I better not see any 1s. 10 being, this is like the Gronk Hernandez days with the Patriots. Probably not a 10 either. 6 can be. I'm at a 6 right now. I feel good about what I'm seeing out of training camp. Obviously, it won't matter until we get into the regular season. So the Bears have also signed a kicker. As we get into some more Bears news, our live audience here at Chat Sports, they think I'm too optimistic on the tight ends. They're just a bunch of haters and losers. But Cairo Santos, they bring him in on a 1-year deal. Eddie Pinheiro is dealing with a groin issue, so obviously this is something to monitor. Matt Nagy also brought up the point, too, that with the extended practice squads, you could potentially see the Bears and honestly some other NFL teams stash a kicker on the practice squad, A, due to injuries, and B, the COVID-19 issue. What if Eddie Pinheiro tests positive the day before a game? Well, you can activate Cairo Santos if they decide to go that route. Here's more from Nagy. I'm not saying specifically Cairo, but we need to have another kicker on this roster. Obviously, it is Santos now. It's just that position, knowing kind of where the COVID-19 tested is right now. We all feel it's very important that you have somebody that can come in if something was to happen to Eddie. Now, I don't view this really as competition. Maybe it could turn into a competition, but I think Eddie Pinheiro is the guy. This is more of he's got a groin issue right now, and with all the COVID stuff, why not bring in another kicker into camp? Cairo Santos, kind of an average kicker, 80% guy for his career. You'd like to be more in that 85, 88% range. So maybe not quite where you'd like to see his numbers. Was only 4 of 9 last year on field goals. So he's kind of bounced around after being the Chiefs kicker for a few years from like 2014 to 2017. Kind of bounced around since then. But you got 2 kickers in camp now, so I'll let you guys pick one. Eddie Pinheiro or Cairo Santos. Type EP for Pinheiro. Type CS for Santos. I still think it's Eddie Pinheiro. I think he will be the starting kicker, but I think this is smart. I think more NFL teams should do this. COVID-19 or not, you should always have 2 kickers in training camp, A, for competition, unless you have Justin Tucker or a couple other guys, and B, kickers get hurt. They pull their groins, like stuff like this happens. So I think this is a good idea, especially with the COVID stuff going on. I think Santos could be stashed on the practice squad in case something were to happen.